Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Beyond the Box. We're sorry we have taken a long needed little vacation. Susie, turn your turn your show down on your channel. I mean, on your phone.
It was down. I don't know what was doing that. Okay.
I don't know, just because you like to hear me. That's all.
Well, it was. I thought I had it all the way down, but it wasn't all. It wasn't.
Uh, I'm tired already. Look at that. I think that took like a lot out of me. I don't know. So, how have you been, Susie? What have you been up to?
I'm just tired. I've been working.
Yeah, you did go to a horse show last weekend, though, right?
Yeah, we went to sorting. We didn't win anything, but we were just like right out of the money every time, chasing cows.
Yeah,
Wore us out. I was on my horse for like 11 hours that day, and I was
I
tired.
I still find it kind of funny that um, I mean, not really funny because you guys could have won, but you gurgled at the cow and got in trouble. They don't know you
Yeah.
very well, do they?
Well, there's this one class that we go in. It's called Western Heritage, and it's walk trot, and you can't make any noise at the cows. You are allowed to talk to the other person, and so Joel's really good at this class. So I guard the gate, and I had we made it back to the finals, and the three cows were coming at me at the gate, and I stopped them, but I went like that, and I got disqualified because I went I'm like, really?
I need to get business cards so you can hand them out so people know that, you know, Susie's not a quiet person, y'all. Give her
No,
look, she made a grunt. Okay. She could have just, went like she was coughing or something, but
right.
but so
I
Sherry,
think I'm gonna put a straw in my mouth or something, keep so I can keep my mouth shut next time.
I don't, will that work? Maybe I better chew gum.
Well, that's what this other guy told me. That his, his wife will put a straw in her mouth, and it'll give you something to think about, like so you won't say anything.
It'll be your luck. It'll fall out of your mouth and you'll say, oh shit.
Oh yeah. Last time I got disqualified, I said, "Damn it," because I had the cows trying to run me over, and I went, "Damn it!" And she's like, "You're disqualified." I'm like, "Oh!" And this
You
time I
should
just went, "Ugh."
you should have told her I wasn't talking to them. I was talking to myself.
I really wasn't. I mean, when I went, it really, but it could be construed that I was going, at the cows.
Yeah, that's true. And
So,
Sherry, how have you been?
I've been busy. My mom has been in the hospital, and then she had a biopsy done on her kidney, and now she's in rehab. So I've been hanging out with her.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. Is she
Yeah.
doing better?
The biopsy went fine, but the rest of her, well, she's in rehab so she can walk again and get out. She's acting like it's kind of weird. She's 81 and she acts like a 2-year old. Sometime I was talking to my sister tonight. I'm like, did you notice that when you're telling her to eat because she's not wanting to eat, she stomps her feet a little bit and she turns her face and
Well, they say that's what happens. We when we get older, we go back through that phase.
yeah,
Uh,
digress. She's
funny.
running around in diapers, trying to strip your clothes off, wanting to play with toys. That yeah, I mean, it's all normal, really. I worked at a nursing home for 10 years. I know.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. She didn't get to sleep last night. I guess there was ladies screaming all night long, swearing and cussing. I mean, there's a lot of it's an evangelical home rehab that she's in.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get to see all sorts of fun elderly people.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
bet.
I kind of miss that work. I do, but I don't miss because the hall I worked on, I had it by myself. Okay. I had 39 patients all to myself. and
Oh,
it was dementia and Alzheimer's ward. And I
Oh,
buy new glasses every couple months because I'd get punched in the face or,
what?
oh yeah. So, I mean, it is what it is. You understand the job when you take it and you go in there. And I love them all. All my women's hair was done in the mornings and their nails. My men were all shaved. And they all wore matching clothes. I didn't just throw them in anything. So they looked good. They smelled good. But I miss it, but I don't miss being beat up on all the time. So
yeah. I wouldn't miss that.
No.
you have it already set in your mind. I mean, one of the first things for you to do when somebody attacks you is to fight back. Well, doing that work, you have it drilled in your brain. You don't hit them back because they don't know what they're doing.
No.
Right.
All you do is just block yourself from getting too majorly injured and run like hell as soon as you can. Get away. They'll forget what they're doing in 5 minutes. So it's the best thing to do.
Yeah, both my parents are 81, 82. My dad's dealing with from a brain injury 2 years ago, so he has no filter. He
Mm.
goes from normal to rage, and today he's saying something, and I just went like this, threw my hands up, didn't say anything, got up, and he goes, "You leave this room, you're going to be in big trouble." I walked out of the room, and I'm thinking, you know,
What are you gonna
you're
do? Ground me?
yeah, right. I'm like, I'm in my late 50s. What are you talking about? I'm thinking as I'm walking down the hallway, like, oh my gosh, are you
Yeah,
kidding me?
they never forget that. Let me tell you, they do not.
No, not
so
at
to,
all.
so tonight, Susie has decided that we are going to do a little Susie story time. Um, we have all been through a lot of different traumas in our lives, um, and abuses. So I, I always say, if I say anything about mine, there's always one that's worse than me somewhere out there. So I don't let it define me. I have learned how to deal with things. I grew up dealing with things and, did it on my own. And that's just, I it has made me who I am today, which is a lot stronger person than I probably would have been. So, but Susie has never really sat and talked about all of the things that she actually went through when she was younger. So she's decided that she's ready to talk about that. And that's what we're going to do tonight. First night back. First night back, we're going to hit you where it hurts.
That's for sure.
Yeah, right.
That's for sure.
So, Susie, go ahead and you have the floor.
Okay, guys, the other day I was thinking about you know my life and why and this might not apply for everybody, but it might apply to a lot of people. But because people may not look at their life and try to figure out why. I'm that person that questions everything. Like, why does this happen? Why does that happen? Only, maybe because I've read in the Bible where it says, everything, there's a reason for everything. Nothing is by chance or by
Right.
happenstance or, for those reasons. So as I think about that theory, um, why do things happen? And there's got to be something behind everything that happens to us, right? Like there's a reason for it, right? Um, I was thinking about I watched this documentary about a guy named Truman Capote, who wrote Breakfast at Tiffany's,
Yeah.
and he wrote he wrote this one book that never got finished, and it was this really controversial story called Answered Prayers, which I find that quite interesting that he would title it "Answered Prayers." Um, Now, when I was like 9 years old, my mom owned an art gallery, so I met Truman Capote because he came to my mom's art gallery and he came to our house and stuff. So I wondered, why, why did Truman Capote come to my mom's art gallery, in Akron, Ohio? Because, you know, and and why did I meet him? And why do I remember him? Because um, there was a movie that, and this is the thing about my life. I can't say this fits everybody's life, like I said, but it definitely fits my life. A lot of movies are that are made tend to be like about me. Um, Now that may fit other people. Some people may see the things in the movies or whatever, and I wondered about that too. Why is that? And I had watched this interview that Truman did one time, and he mentioned they asked him, how he got inspired to write novels and movies and things like that. And he had said that he was influenced by other forces, which I'm saying angels, maybe demons, or demons, yes, for sure.
Right.
Um, they can give a whole script to somebody, or we all heard the story about how did people become so wealthy in Hollywood? How did they make all these write all these songs that became famous? And
Yeah, a lot of them say it's like a download. They hear this voice that gives them a download of things to
yeah,
write. Yeah.
yeah. So something has told them that, whether it's a demon or an angel, right? I mean, if you're probably writing a song that's going to help somebody on their journey in life or help heal them, I'm sure that comes from an angel. But these other weird things, are all like given to these people, so bizarre. So I watched this movie called Goldfinch, and it was it was about an art gallery where there's these birds. And when my mom died, she had all these prints of birds, and she willed them to me, and she gave the oils to my brother. And then I put my paintings they were very valuable, like 100, $200,000 paintings. I put them in a storage unit, and her best friend stole them, and
Oh.
they were in Jacksonville, Florida. So this movie Goldfinch is about a kid whose mom takes him to his gallery, and he gets this bird picture and he puts it in a storage unit, and his friend steals them. And it
Wow.
was in Florida. It happened in Florida too.
Well, that.
So yeah, so that was like another weird connection. So when I went home after watching that movie, the theater, I pulled up my mom's photo album, and I saw the picture of Truman Capote in there at the gallery. And the the freakiest part was the actors in the movie were the same people in my mom's art gallery. They had the same clothes on. They were in the movie, and they were the same people, but it was like 50 years difference. It wasn't the same people. But what I'm saying is, my photos match the movie identical.
Oh
Like the
wow.
way, yeah, yeah, it is so crazy. I actually, let me send it to you real quick, and then you can kind of show it on the screen real quick. I'm going to send you, um, like a side by a picture of the movie, and then a picture of my that I have, and you can kind of see the similarity. It's odd, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I'm going to send that to you. Hang on, let's see.
Sherry
I
is
should, I
is
probably
Kiki,
should have,
is
huh?
Kiki laying down? Oh, I was gonna ask Sherry, is Kiki laying down sleeping?
For now. For now. She's laying down. She was up in the chair before we got on here, so
Oh yeah, that's her studio.
yes, she's got to show her face.
Hmm. And
I heard that some people take ideas, real life ideas of people that have been in their lives, and then say that they got a download or they got an idea,
yeah,
but actually it's a real life, situation. And it sounds like that's what it sounds like happened to you, actually.
right.
All right, I sent him on Messenger.
Okay.
So this answered prayers, this book he wrote called Answered Prayers. Um, it was a book that he was writing, and apparently, um, it. I looked into Truman's life, and Truman had kind of a real sketchy childhood. Now that is the picture on the left, the bigger picture where you can see more of the background of the guy.
Yeah, this one here.
That's
Yeah.
my yeah, that's my photograph at my mom's gallery. And the one on the right is the guy in the movie 50 years later.
Oh, wow.
And he's talking to a redhead in my mom's picture. He's talking to a redhead. And if you notice, the background is kind of a yellow color with a
Right.
bird
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah.
And in the movie, it was yellow, the same painted background. My mom painted that. Now that's Truman Capote in my mom's gallery on the left, and that's Truman Capote with Marilyn Monroe on the right. So that was my mom. I have that photo of Truman on the left in my photo album. He was in the gallery that day.
Hmm.
So the question I had, okay, so the answered prayers thing was he he had a very troubled childhood. Like his mom and dad separated, and then they got back together, and she got back with him because he had some money, and that she got pregnant. And she had Truman, um and so Truman tend to see. Here was my question. My question was, okay, God, so why was Truman Capote at my mom's art gallery? There was a reason for that. Why? And because that movie is identical to my life, right? And I'm like, so what's the connection? Why Truman, and why was he around my mother? Okay, what was the deal? So it turns out that Truman Capote, um, he he since he had such a troubled childhood with his own mother, which I had a very troubled childhood with my mother.
Right.
Okay, um, he had a troubled relationship with his mother. She kept abandoning him, and that's what my mom did to me. And so he would hang around these women, and they called them the swans. Okay, so he was best friends. This is crazy, Brenda. He was best friends with Jacqueline Kennedy's sister.
Oh,
That was that
Patricia.
was one of his. No, a different sister.
Oh,
Okay. Um, it was another sister who was very jealous of Jacqueline, very very jealous, and she was one of the swans, and she always was trying to compete against Jacqueline. Okay, was it? Yeah, yeah, because Jacqueline married Kennedy, right? And she was so
right.
jealous because of that. So he was friends with her, and then he was friends with all these other like high society women, and that's what my mom was. My mom was this high society person that was rubbing shoulders with these actresses, and um this one lady, Patty Russell. She was an actress out of she was like one of my mom's best friends. She used to come to our house all the time. And then my mom tried to put me in a professional play. Well, she did. She got me in a play, one play. I didn't do any more, but just that one. But she had me trying to get me into that world, and she had her art gallery. And so Truman had this entourage of women that he was best friends with, and the book he wrote called Breakfast at Tiffany's. He would sit at this breakfast place every morning and speak with these different women because he was he was missing something in his life from his mother. So he was drawn to these type women who were like his mom. His mom wanted to be highfalutin and hang around these kind of people, kind of. And so I made the connection that was what my mom was doing. My mom was her whole thing was she wanted to be one of those women. And so then I'm like, okay, now that makes sense why Truman was like drawn to my mother and her gallery, and because she was one of those women who was not very good to their children, and yet wanted to wear all the jewels. Like my mom had diamond and emeralds, and she went on cruises, and but she was a very neglectful mother. And so this is the kind of women that Truman kind of, was drawn to, this high society woman. And so he wrote this book called Answered Prayers, which is, I'm going to send you something real quick again. Um, let's see.
Hello, Scott. Welcome in.
Hey, Scott. Okay. All right. So there, I just sent this to you. So this was the cover of his book called Answered Prayers, which is really interesting because it's like a glass of wine and then a pencil with a shoe on it, like a woman's shoe, like a high society woman, right? Like
Okay.
these women that wanted to, go to New York and wine and dine and live this, fancy life. So that was the cover. That's his book right there, and or the cover of his book that called Answered Prayers. Now this book he wrote, Answered Prayers. What it was is he got himself in a lot of trouble because he got paid like a lot of money to write this book, and he had a time frame that he was supposed to get it out. Well, he didn't really get it out in time, so he just wrote a couple pages of it, or what, a couple chapters of it. And it turns out he was writing stories about all these women and
Oh,
laundering their life in gossip. It was like a gossip. It was like, but
the
it was
gossip
like,
column.
yeah, this one was having an affair on this husband and she got caught, and this one was doing this, and but he changed all the names, right? So they all figured out that he was writing against them, and they all got pissed at him. And everybody, they were so angry at Truman. But it was like, but what he was doing was he was actually recording, I guess, for later, like time. We'd look back and we could read these stories about these people, and this was what they were really doing in the background. These high society Hollywood people. This was the real story. Okay.
And maybe he
So he
shouldn't have
was
put it out until later on in life.
right. It was like the first National Enquirer, right?
Yeah.
So it was like that's what he was doing. But it was interesting that he called it Answered Prayers. But he kind of pretty much told the truth, although he changed the names, but they all knew who he was talking about. So a lot of these women got really pissed at him and stuff like that. So yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. The fact that he was drawn to all these women because the lack of a good mother that he had, and so it's like you think about like a person's they're vibrating at a certain level, right, in life, and then
Right.
that vibration, it draws them to other people who are vibrating at that level. So he's drawn to these certain women, and because his mother was that way, and
Right.
then this is how, that's kind of what I was thinking about was, how these things all connect, and how all this stuff comes about, how, because how could they make this movie 50 years ago, um or I mean recently, I mean in my life 50 years ago was that story, and yet how did they get the actors to look just like the people in my mom's art gallery, you know
Hmm.
which would lead me down the road to research Truman a little bit more and find out that Truman was my mom's friend because my mom was one of those women. She was exactly what those women were, that he was lacking a good mother, which I was lacking a good mother, and he was trying to fulfill it, but with the same type of people, which really isn't achieving much. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know,
Doesn't really make sense, does it?
it it wouldn't, but maybe like he's looking for answers and he's drawn to those women because he's trying to find out why his mom is like that, and that's his life. But he ends up becoming pretty well off and makes pretty good money writing these books, and so I mean he kind of made his mark in life. And but so that's kind of what led me to think um about that. And my story was that when I was, well, you know when I was like, my mom, I guess it started with my grandma. Let's start with grandma. Okay. My grandmother was 15 years old, and my grandpa was 25 when he married her. Okay.
Oh,
That would have been in 1941, I guess, or 41 she was born, right? Or so wouldn't we call that child abuse today if a 25-year-old is with a 15-year-old? You know what I'm saying?
oh, yeah, that's definitely
Yes.
frowned upon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But I think back
I
then it
mean,
was like different times. Like people raised their kids to be married. Their girls to be married. So I don't think they really paid attention on how old they were, which is sad. But I hear a lot of that. Like way back in those days, if you were 15, 16 years old, you got married. That was what they did.
Yeah.
right
So
now, what,
Always,
Sherry?
I was gonna say, always to an older guy. I think my grandpa was like 17 years older than my grandma, and she was a teenager when he married her.
yeah,
So,
Right? Yeah, it seems like. Well, I know in my grandma's case, she was 15, and they were from West Virginia, and her parents and her grandparents, her great grandparents, were all born in West Virginia. They were extremely poverty. Had terrible, terrible poverty. And my grandfather was already in the army, already had a car, had money. He's 25. He's pretty solid. Um, so what my grandma told me was that, and it was that her parents had to sign the papers, for them to get married because of her age. But
right,
she was coming out of severe poverty, with her parents at 15. So she married my grandpa, not knowing what she was getting herself into because what ended up happening was she married him, and then the night that she married him, she was a virgin. She got pregnant with my mom, so my mom was a virgin birth, and she said she was having to cook, clean. She was pregnant, and he was away, in in the army all the time, fighting and stuff because he went to fought World War II,
right.
and my grandma said at 15 she was just a child, and so she um she couldn't she couldn't mentally handle what was happening to her. Like she couldn't be all those things. She couldn't be a wife, a mother, a housekeeper. I mean, she was 15 years old. She didn't know how to do all that. It was
Right.
too much. And so she decided, she went to a friend of hers and got some help with this woman, and said, I can't do this. I can't be married. I can't raise this child. And so my grandfather came back and agreed to raise my mom, and he paid her parents some money while he was still enlisted and stuff. And then what they did was they left my mom in a baby bed, and she had blisters, and leaving her in her dirty diaper and not taking care of her. My mom almost died,
hmm.
and she was there for like 4 months with these people, with her parents. So I guess they were extremely poor. but they weren't taking care of my mom. And so my mom ended up with his best friend's family. And when my grandpa got back from the war, he he said my best friend's sister was attached to your mother, and so he said, and he said, so I married her, and then he stayed with her. Her name was Sarah Reynolds, and he stayed with her his whole life. Like that, he married her, and then she became my mom's mom. You know, my grandma. So they agreed not to tell my mom, you know, because I didn't want it to affect her that she'd been abandoned and what she'd been through as a baby and what those people did to her, and they didn't want her to know about that. So my mom grew up thinking that Sarah was her mom until my mom was like 30, and then a cousin said, you need to go check your birth certificate. And so my mom did and found out that this woman named Agnes was really her mother. So she was on the search for her mother, and she actually almost bought a house right next door to her prior to this happening and didn't even know it. You know,
Oh,
almost
geez.
moved in. Yeah, it was crazy. And so what was sad was though, when she did find her, she finally found her. My grandmother was a very bad alcoholic and had cirrhosis of the liver and was just completely in a bad way, bad state, bad way. And so they never really. My mom tried really, really hard to connect, and I met her, and she was. I thought she was really mean. I mean, she was drunk and like we went over to her house, and she was laying in her bed, and she was so drunk that she had my mom waiting on her, and I didn't even want to be around her. I was like, you know, I didn't like her, you know,
Right.
and you know, because I thought, oh my God, you know, what is this? And so that was kind of that experience, you know, that I had with that situation and her her experience. Now, my mom ended up becoming really bitter about the fact that her parents had hid this truth from her, you know, and
Yeah.
that she didn't find out till too late, you know, because her situation. So, um, I was when I was living with my mom, my now I was 2 years old when my mom and my dad got divorced, and my dad was a very bad alcoholic. So my mom finally just said, "Hey, you got to go. I'm done with this." But this is when it started to get bad for me because um, she decided to move back home for a little bit, and then meanwhile, once see my mom had been going to church when she was younger, and she was a pretty good person, and she marries my dad, and she was a virgin, and my dad and she had me 9 months to the day of their marriage, so I was a virgin birth as well. um but what happened was my dad was 25 too at the same. My mom was 19. She was a little older. Um but since my dad was an alcoholic and my dad was keeping a lot of secrets from her and stuff, and when she found out that he had been lying to her about a bunch of stuff, that's why she decided to divorce him and she moved back home. But what she did is, because she went through this divorce, and she had this fairy tale idea that she had such a good home with her parents, that now her life was so messed up that she started drinking. She started going to bars. And next thing you know, my mom is a go-go dancer.
Oh,
Went
geez.
from Pentecostal, no makeup, to go-go dancer. Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, that's a pretty drastic, you know, change in a
Right.
person.
Right.
And so, and it's because she's got me and my brother. My brother was 6 months. He came 6 months after she had me. So she had two kids right off the bat, and then she, went back home with us. So then my mom started going to these bars, and she started taking me to the bars when I was little.
Oh,
And yeah, I used to go in these in Akron. I used to go in these bars with her. She was bartending, and I'd be sitting in there, and I'd be playing around on the stage and stuff during the day. I mean, it was kind of weird. But what do I know as a child? What's normal or not normal? Because this is my
true.
mother,
That's true.
Right.
and I don't know anything because this is the way she's raising me. She didn't raise me to go to church or anything like that because she did this prior when before like when she met my dad and stuff, and then after my dad she just kind of went off the deep end or something, and started drinking a lot, and then she started socializing and then she wanted to be this rich and famous person. I think that's what when she went this direction. So she started this go-go dancing, and my grandma told me one time, she said yeah, your mom would go to the mall in her G-string, and I'm like, what?
Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
I'm like, and this is in Akron, Ohio. This isn't like in Florida or something, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right,
what the
right.
hell? Yeah. So, and so this is the kind of mom I have now. So now my mom, she meets this guy named Bob, and Bob, I call it Jew. Bob, he was Jew. He was a Jew. Bob Phillips. He was a pretty nice guy, but he was real into pornography and stuff. So he had all these books of pornography, and she always had these guys over the apartment. And all I remember is parties all the time. My mom drinking all the time, and my grandpa would come over, and he would get so angry at her. And I remember one time he slapped her in the face, and my mom, that's like, she got so mad at him because he said she was being a terrible mom, and she was leaving us alone all the time at this. We were being left alone. She was out drinking, and me and my brother were just like, we'd come in when the street lights come on because my mom was never around. So
Right.
we just kind of, um, it was just kind of like we didn't know what was right or wrong. I remember the neighbor next door in a duplex. We used to hang out with them all the time because my mom was never around. And she was always having these parties and stuff. So then, next thing I know, my mom sends me off to go live with my dad for like a year in second grade, and so I'm living with my dad at this apartment, and my dad's an alcoholic too. So he's drinking all the time, and I mean, it's crazy. I mean, everybody around me was getting drunk and, all the time. And that's all I ever saw. And my mom comes to visit one day, and she goes, "Oh, by the way, I just want to tell you, I just got married to this guy named Pat. Did he?" I'm like, so it's like, I didn't know. Yeah.
Gee, Mom.
Okay. Thanks for telling me, inviting me, or whatever. Or, I didn't even know. I never met Pat until, I mean, I didn't meet him that day either. But after the year, we went back to live with him. And Pat was actually a nice guy, and I'm friends with him today. Okay. But because he was a nice guy, he didn't last very long with my mom. That's,
Oh,
you know, yeah, because he had a little bit of money, and so she stepped up in her. That's when she got the art gallery because of Pat. He had the money, and she got the art gallery because he owned a tire store. So I never saw my mom. I mean, she was gone all the time. She was selling real estate. She had her and so we were alone all the time. Me and my brother.
uh
Oh,
oh.
she just popped out.
She'll be back. She pops in and out all the time.
Yeah, I noticed that.
She might have forgot to charge her phone. She does that. So she'll plug it in and get it started again.
Hey, wow, what a crazy beginning life there she's got.
Yeah. What is Scott? Oh,
You met some movie stars over the years like Sophia Loren, Bruce Lee, and Arthur Godfrey.
oh, that's a One to meet. There
Oh,
she
there
is.
we are. There I am.
She
So,
just left.
so yeah, so now I'm exposed to, being a child molester, Me and my brother had experienced a child molester when we were kids, and and so, but your parents are never around, you're running around the neighborhood, no supervision, nobody telling you what to do. I mean, this is how we grew up, we were just kind of like wild children, just went and did whatever we wanted, wherever we wanted, because we didn't have any
Yeah,
supervision. So we didn't know any different. That's just the way it was always for us.
right.
And so then, um, so at that point, my mom, my I don't know what happened. My grandfather, he was always angry at my mom for being a terrible mother. So he got into an argument one day with her, and she just said fine, and that's when she loaded me and my brother up on a plane and took us to the Virgin Islands for like 7 months. We just vanished out of the United States, went down there, which that was a really crazy place down there to be a, to be two young kids and your mom being gone all the time too when we're down there, being alone all the time, um, and having to deal with the natives and stuff like that. It was pretty crazy. But we ended up coming back to the states, and we got back to the states, and then that's my stepmom came over to visit me with my dad, and they said, we want you to come live with us. So at that point, um, I ended up, the courts agreed, or Ash, the courts had me get my dad get custody of us. Okay. And but when we moved in with my dad, he was an alcoholic. Okay. So what started happening was he would come home from his job. He worked at Dover Elevator up there in Akron, Ohio, or Cleveland, Ohio. He was in Cleveland, and he uh, he would come home drunk, and so I would hear at night. I would hear him yelling and screaming at my stepmom and stuff. And I heard him say one time, "I hate those kids. I hate them." I heard him say that about us. He hated us. And I thought, oh my God, why am I living here if my dad hates us? I mean, my mom was never around, but my dad, he says he hates us. The next thing I know, my dad turned physical on us, and he started beating us. What he would do was he'd make a board, and in the evening he'd come in, he'd yell, and he'd complain about everything. Then he'd beat us with this board. And so this was like every single night. Every night we were being beaten, and he would be yelling and screaming at us, and then he would make slaves of us. He would make us work like all the time, like, and we didn't get to celebrate Christmas or any holidays or anything like that because I lived with him for 2 years, and that was the abuse that we suffered. Now he drank a lot, and he would sometimes he'd pull out his gun and he'd shoot at us. Sometimes he'd throw stuff at us, but he mostly beat us. And he would take us down in the basement, and he would just beat us and beat us and beat us. And then he would force me to drink alcohol when I think I was like 12.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and I would get so drunk my brother would have to carry me to bed because my dad would make us drink. And so like I remember one Christmas he said, "We're going to some family Christmas party, but you don't get to go anywhere. You have to stay here and work. And I want you to take the toothbrushes and I want you to scrub every windowsill and every floor around the house." And he made us do it 5 times, like every window 5 times with a toothbrush
Wow.
from
Oh,
from morning till night. Yeah, until like 2 in the morning, till we just passed out. I mean, we literally would just pass out. And then he was remodeling this house, and I remember
uh-oh.
we had one night I went upstairs, and this toy chest opened, and there was something was in there, My dad comes up there with his gun, starts shooting all over the house. I think I told you about that one time.
The ghost.
But
Yeah.
yeah, shooting the ghost. But he was not a nice person. He would take us down to the basement and beat us. Every night. And he would make us stand up against the wall while he would preach at us. He would read from the Bible, and he would, when he got done, he would take the board and he would beat us. So, I mean, I lived with my body was just black and blue all the time, and um, I never wore shorts at school, and I refused to wear shorts because I didn't want anybody to know I was being beaten. I didn't talk about it to anybody because
Right.
he was always threatening us, and um, it's just a scary situation. So I mean, it was pretty bad. And then they were starving us too. I mean, I have pictures when I was that little. I was so skinny. I mean, they weren't feeding us, and they were beating us, and we were being abused pretty badly. I mean, it was a pretty rough situation, And one day, and I was just watching this movie the other day, and it was there was one little scene in the movie that had it was something about me, right? And it's like she walks ahead, and it was about Buffalo Bill and this girl. It's a true story documentary, and she goes she paints portraits, and so she goes to paint Buffalo Bill's portrait, but she ends up kind of um, helping the Indians and helping these people. But it was called She Walks Ahead because she didn't want to get on this horse with this Indian buffalo with I mean Sitting Bull, not Buffalo Bill. The horse that was given to Sitting Bull was from Buffalo Bill, but she didn't want to get on that horse and ride it. She would walk, and they had this little argument. He said to her, "Why won't you get on the horse and ride the horse? Why do you walk everywhere?" She said, "Because when I was a kid one time, and see, this is my story, what happened to me, what she's going to say." She said, "When I was a kid one time, my father locked me up in the stall all day and wouldn't let me out. And then she became afraid of the horse or something." And so I said, "That's crazy." And she started crying. And I thought, that's what my dad did to me one time because my dad would leave us home. They would leave us alone all the time. And I had brothers and sisters, and I was like 12. Well, my one brother, David, we lived out in the country, and we had a camp next door to us. And my brother, David, he'd take off running. And he took off running to the next door neighbors. And, and I had my sister, I had to watch her. Well, I'm trying to watch my sister, and my brother disappears, and I got to go find him, and he's in the woods somewhere, and I don't know where he went. So I told my sister, "I'm going to put you in the horse stall until I get back because I didn't want nothing to happen to her." And I went running out there. I found my brother had fallen in the pond and he was drowning. I had to jump in and save him.
Man.
Oh,
And yeah, my brother David was drowning in the pond. And I mean, I got there just in time, pull him out of the pond because I knew how to swim. And so I got him out of the water, and I got back home. We were soaking wet, and I got back home, and I got back home, and I got to when I came up out of the woods to where the barn was, and I got my sister out. My dad pulled up, and my dad asked me what happened, and I told him, and he said, "Well, because you locked your sister in the stall, I'm gonna lock you in there all day."
no.
Yeah. So I got punished. Yeah, I got punished for that, but I didn't get rewarded for saving my brother's life or nothing like that. No, I got punished. So he locked me up in the horse stall all day, and then he went in the house and he put a record on, a song by Three Dog Night called "Trapped," and he played that song over and over and over again. "I'm trapped, I'm trapped, I'm trapped," and as
Dang.
he had, yeah, like using like mental, to try to,
Right.
so, it was that whenever I heard the Three Dog Night, and it always reminded me of the crazy abuse and the stuff that he would do to us, and it was just constant every single day. It was a new torture, a new beating, a new he would do this to us, it was ridiculous. So when I was 15, um, I finally said I've had enough, and I talked to some friends of mine at school, and I told their father what was going on, and the father and the daughter helped me plan my escape. I was going to get on my horse and ride all the way to Akron to my stepdad's house, and it was like a 60-mile trip. And I got on my horse and I went 60 miles. I went all the way through from Aurora, Ohio, all the way to Akron, and and I did. I ran away on my horse, and but my dad ended up coming and getting the horse and stuff, and yeah, it was pretty bad. I didn't want to go back to my dad, but um, I ended up uh, moving in with my grandparents, and so and then my grandpa had a heart attack and couldn't take care of us, and so I never had a mom and a dad. I never had that. I never like they never told me they loved me. I was never told ever I love you. Never. And my mom actually one time when she was drunk and throwing up, she goes, "By the way, Susie, did I ever tell you I love you?" Bleh. You know,
Oh,
Man.
God.
and I had to clean it up. And she
Oh,
don't even remember, but she only said it as I'm cleaning up her vomit. So, and my dad, his rule was kids are not allowed to speak unless spoken to. If I even said a word, like maybe that's why I yelled out the cows, because if I said one word, he beat me. I was never for 2 years allowed to talk. I never could approach him and say nothing to him. He would beat me. So kids are to be seen and not heard. That's how we had to live. And so the abuse, and I remember saying to myself, God, I'm never going to believe in reincarnation because I'm never coming back to this again. And I thought, why did I say that? Unless it must be real. But I thought to myself, I don't ever want to live this life again. This is the worst parents, the worst people I could have ever, you know,
yeah.
been born to. You know what I mean? This most unloving, most mean people ever, just abusive and mean. So, when people talk about satanically ritually abused, like I was definitely satanically ritually abused from the time I can remember up until I could get away from these people. And I was 15 when I escaped and ran off. And I mean, they locked me up in a detention home, and I tried to tell them what was going on, but there were no agencies back then. There
Right.
was no place that I could go. I couldn't get help. I ended up, back with my parents. So and then my grandpa was in bad health, and I, couldn't stay with them. Um, and I had Aunt Marie, and it was my grandpa's. It was my aunt, my dad, or it was my mom's dad. So it was my mom's sister. They were half brother and sister since he remarried Sarah. But she was kind of the only good person around in my life other than my grandpa. Like that family and that grandma, they were nice to me, but they couldn't raise me. They were my grandparents. They were older and they couldn't. My grandpa had bad health, and so
Right.
I ended up, and that's when I ended up when I meeting a family, and I moved in with them, and that's how I met Mitch. Because Mitch was what happened was um, I couldn't stay with my grandpa, and I was going to have to go back to my dad's, and I'm like, no. And my friend at high school where I was living with my grandparents, she said, let me introduce you to these people. I know these people, they're really, really nice, and you could probably live with them. And I was like, okay. So we went over to their house, and I met Linda, um, Mitch's sister, and she's like, yeah, my mom will probably let you live here. Well, you know,
He's always
right?
just invited. Sure, no problem.
Yeah. Linda's like, yeah, sure, mom will probably let you live here. And so they ended up, my dad ended up coming and getting me and took me back to his house. And I spent the night, and I couldn't sleep all night. I remember looking out the window I could never come back to this again. I was gone. I looked at my dad, and the next morning I said, "Look, I got a place to go. I got some people that will take me, and I want to go." And he said, "Okay." So he packed my bags, and my dad took me to their house, to Mitch and Linda's and Mrs. Rader's house, right? And we pull up in the driveway, and we get out of the car, and me and my dad walk to the front door of this house, and he knocks on the door, and Mrs. Rader opens the door, and she looks down at me, and she says, "Mitch, run out there and get her suitcase." I didn't even meet this woman. I didn't even know this woman. Okay. I hadn't even asked nobody. I just showed up at the front steps of this lady's house, and she's like, "Go get her suitcase." And Mitch comes running out, and it turns out Mitch is the love of my life. You know, from that moment on till today, I love that man. Okay. Okay. So Mitch comes running out, and he runs out there, and he gets my suitcase, and he comes running back. you know, and he was like 4 years older than I was, but and I'm like, and then Mrs. Rader looks at me and she goes, "Okay, we will she can stay here. We're good." And my dad's like, "Okay, well, I still have to pay child support, so I'll give you the child support was $100 a month." And she's like, "Okay," because she was on welfare. This woman had nothing. I mean, literally, she was on welfare. She had no money. And this woman took me in. She had two daughters and a son living at home, and both girls in high school. And Linda was in the same grade as I was in. And so I lived there for like almost 3 years, I think it was. And she became the mother that I never had. She
Wow.
became, yeah, that was the family that I felt like I belonged, and where I felt loved, and I felt, I mean, it was like, and I got away from my dad. They saved me from my dad, basically. Saved
Right.
me from my mom. Yeah, yeah. So, and so of course that story with Mitch is kind of sad because I fall in love with Mitch, and it's like I don't tell nobody. It's just my secret crush on Mitch. He's 4 years older than I was, and so he becomes my first love. And then right after that happens, my mom shows up and
Oh, geez.
threatens me that I have to come to Florida to live with her because I'm still 17 years old. Okay, so I'm just about to turn 18, but I'm not old enough to have any rights. Okay, so she threatens that she's going to have me arrested if I don't come to Florida, because she's been living down in Florida with her fifth husband or whatever, and now she's finally told him that she has kids, because I didn't even see her for like 5 years. Like, I didn't even know where my mom was.
Man, you needed
Okay,
me back then because I would have
and
looked at you and said, Susie, tell her to call the cops and we'll turn her in for child abandonment and abuse. She
We
wants to
didn't
play
know things
hardball.
like
We
but
can
that.
see,
play
they didn't.
hardball.
Yeah, they didn't have those kind of, like, agencies where you could get help like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not back
And she
then.
threatened me, and yeah. So
Oh,
what could I do? I go to Florida with her, and then I get down there, and one day I call my grandpa on her phone, and I did a when you reverse the charges so that my mom didn't have to pay for it,
right.
and I reversed the charges on a inline phone, and she saw it on the phone bill when it came in that I called my grandpa. Since she hated my grandpa so much, she kicked me out on the street. Now
Oh,
I'm 18 years old, and I'm kicked out on the street. Yeah. So that began 3 years of living on the streets in Jacksonville, Florida, and talk about, man, that's a whole nother story.
right.
Everything that can go wrong goes wrong, besides getting picked up by serial killers and, everything
Yeah,
else, and
that was an
meeting
interesting
every,
jada
yeah,
into everything. Get
yeah.
picked up by a
So
couple
it's
serial
like,
killers.
yeah, I get picked up by Otis Toole and Henry Lucas and taken out in the woods, and they're going to murder me. And but you know what? That's when everything changed for me because that's when God showed up. Like literally, you know, I didn't have good parents. Okay, I remember saying one day to God, I said, "You know what, God? Most people, um, they get one bad parent, right? Most people, like one of the parents is bad. That's the worst usually. I mean,
Right.
some kids have two good parents, but the worst it usually gets is one bad parent. But I was so lucky to get two bad parents. I am
You were
so
so
blessed.
lucky.
You know,
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, I like to make jokes with God, because I found my peace in God while all this stuff was happening to me. I used to go off and just sit and talk to God, and and so He was my go-to whenever things were bad. I would just go talk to Him because even though I didn't
Right.
have parents and I had God. So since I was in 5 or 6 years old when I found out there was a God and I fell in love with Him, He was the thing that kept me strong through all of this. No matter what was happening to me, no matter what they did to me, um, I knew that I had God. So that day that the killers took me out to the woods and they're going to kill me, um, that's when God told me, "Trust me." And I'm like, "Trust you? I can't even see you. How am I going to trust you?" And then it turns out that when they went to when Otis Toole, who was 6'7", and I'm 5 foot. I'm barely 5 foot. I'm 5 foot. Okay, and this guy's 6'7". When he tried to grab me, well, he grabbed me by the ankle, and I jumped up to run, and he got up behind me to grab me. When I looked at him, he ran into an invisible wall. He ran into the invisible God that I've been talking to my whole life, and God stopped him, and I got away. So the thing of it is I've survived all this trauma. I've survived all this pain. I've survived all this stuff, you know, because there's this one scripture in the Bible that I always kind of liked. It said, you know, um, I will be a father to the fatherless. And of course, my last name is Father, you know, but God says, I will be a father to the fatherless. So that always r- rang true to me that no matter what, I was a motherless, fatherless child, right? And so I didn't have a mother and a father like most people had. I didn't have the upbringing and the teaching and the stability and the love, and I didn't learn anything that was normal. I didn't have that life, but I had one thing, and that was I had a love for God, and I knew that God loved me because He saved me every time I would get into these situations. He got me out of it. You know, I'd get in
Yeah.
another situation. He'd get me out of it. You know, so
I,
constantly God was having to rescue me. Do what?
right. We're gonna take. Normally we haven't been taking 5 minutes in a long time, but I need to step away. So we're gonna take a brief intermission,
Okay.
guys. I have an intermission video. So we will be right
Yeah.
back as soon. Oh, I do. It's nice. Steve did us right. So we're going to take a brief intermission, guys. Give us, a few minutes, and we will be right back. And I want to thank Stephen over at Yesel Missile Productions for our funky little jams. He made us an intermission song just in case I needed it. Um, and lately,
There you
because the
go.
way I've been feeling, I do have to uh, step away and, take a few minutes. If not, I'm turning into one of those old people that are yelling, screaming, running around in diapers, and I don't want to do that. so we'll take the intermission. I'm down for it. But uh, he did good. Steve did our intro and our exit and our and he did an intermission for us. We actually, I think this is like the first or second time we've used it. Maybe the first time. I don't know, because we haven't been taking that 5 minutes that we were always doing before. Um, we've just been going straight through it, but every now and then, we need to get up and refill our coffees and stand up and stretch our bones, and you know I have to yell at Putin and tell him to settle down because he wants to bark at anything and everything that moves outside. So this weekend, I hope everybody stays inside and stays safe. Stay safe. There's a lot going on with protest and all kinds of other stuff. So I know finally got the grocery shopping done, so I don't have to leave the house for a few days. Although I don't know if Jack got my refill for my vape or not, but I guess I can suffer through. It'll be all right. Be okay. So, Susie, um,
Yeah.
everything that you went
I see
through.
Scott has a question.
Oh, does
Yeah.
he? What's his question?
Um, he just said, what's the word? Like, wow, what a good witness story, Susie, although unnerving and shocking how parents can be. So, what's the word? Remember what we were talking about, Brenda, before the show? And I mentioned to you,
Hi, Kiki.
and I said that there are so many satanically ritually abused children
Yes,
out here on this planet.
yes,
I mean,
yes,
so we have so many friends of ours, like Tommy,
yes,
um, and different people that have, you know, can look back at their childhood, and it's unnerving, the stuff that we've been through,
right.
and it wasn't like for me with just the child having parents like that, but it was like all the strangers that were around me were trying to kill me or hurt me, or it was like, it's like walking into a haunted house of horror or something. I was born into it or something.
Right. Yeah.
You know. So I mean, um, and we talked about, for me, the way I feel about it is that I feel like, um, it doesn't matter, like, from where I'm at, like right now, today in my life. I can't change who my parents are. I can't change what they did to me or what they didn't do for me, and then I can't change any of the bad things that have happened to me. I can't go back and fix any of that. And remember what I said earlier is I've had to learn to heal myself.
That's right.
Okay, I've had, and that's what it takes. you it's not like waiting for somebody to fix your problems or waiting for something to fix your problems. You got to heal yourself. you
That's right.
you have to you have to heal yourself, and you have to you have to, yeah, it's a lot of pain, a lot of hurt or whatever, but you got to realize you can't change who they are or what they did. You
Right.
can't change the past. So all you can do is be the best person you can be. And some of the things I always said to myself was, as my dad was beating me all the time, I said to myself, I will never allow a man to abuse me ever.
Right.
I will stand up for myself. I will protect myself. I will save myself. I will make a vow to myself. I vowed me to me that I would protect me and I would stand up for me and I would be my own savior basically. And
Right.
and then I would allow myself to be healed and I would grow in my relationship with God. I would choose to be a good person, to do the right thing. And I know sounds weird, but everything bad that happened to me taught me how to be a better person.
Right. That's what I
I could
said.
learn from the mistakes. Yeah, I could say, well, that's wrong, that's bad. Okay, I'm going to treat my child the exact opposite. I'm going to
Right.
hug my kid all the time. I'm going to tell my kid I love him. And I'm going to show love where I didn't get love. I'm going to be that parent that I wanted in my life. I'm going to be that parent. I'm going to be that person. And
Right.
I'm going to be healed and I'm going to be whole. I'm not going to live in the past and the pain and the hurt. I'm not going to like dwell and live there because it was the past. I don't want to live there.
Right. And
I lived there once. I don't want to go back.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
even like me. I mean, with all the things that I went through, with what happened to me growing up and as a young age, and things that I couldn't talk about with certain people in my family, things I never even talked about with my daughter. But I'm a living testimony of what didn't kill me made me stronger. And that's exactly what it did, because it made me who I am today and why I fight so hard to do the things that I need to do in life. Right now, I shouldn't even be up and doing this. I should be down for another couple months, but it's not going to happen. I'm not going to allow it. I took the worst part and I dealt with it, and now I'm going to bounce right back because that's who I am. I'm a fighter. And I probably, my life could have went a whole entirely different way. And I think about it, when I was younger, I could have ended up on the streets, on drugs, doing God knows what. Probably wouldn't have even lived this long. But I refused to let myself do that to me, period. I've just fought through everything. My doctor just sits back and shakes his head. He doesn't even understand it. But that's me. But I am who I am today because of all the pain and suffering and heartache that I went through when I was younger. So, you know, there's a saying in that, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I really believe that that is true. Always.
It can, right, Brenda, but you have to want to,
Oh,
you
yeah,
have to like,
you have to want to
I don't
fight
think I
through it.
could done it without God. Yeah. I don't think I
Right.
could have got it without his love, or his,
Right.
because, I didn't have it from, very many other places, I mean, strangers, became my parents, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, but I can, I can, joke and look back and it's like it's like there is no wound, okay? I don't have a wound. I don't have anger. I don't have I I don't hate my mom or my dad, I mean, um I don't hate, I mean, I don't approve of what they did, okay? But I don't condone it or something like that, but um I'm a pretty happy person.
Right.
basically.
You,
And
you forgave,
I love
and
my son. I'm very happy. Yeah,
right, and you
I
and a
let
lot of
God. I
people
just
don't.
let God. I was like,
Yeah, but a lot of people don't understand that forgiveness plays a big part, and you don't forgive because you want to forgive the other person. They still did what they did to you, but you forgive in your own heart so that your
right.
heart has room for love and joy. And a lot of people don't
And so
realize
you can
that.
move forward.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you got to be able to move forward. You can't be stuck. It will cripple you. The pain that they cause you will cripple you. You know, um, and you just got to move. In order to go forward, you got to. It's like all that baggage and luggage. You can't carry it with you. You got to let
Yeah.
it go. Start all over. You know, start
Yeah.
brand new. Well, I remember there's this one scripture that I used to say it all the time, and it was it probably isn't even in the Bible anymore because of the Mandela effect. But it says it, but it was there. But it says every day is a new day. Like every day is a brand new day.
Yes.
Okay, so and it was something to that effect. It was like every day is a brand new day. So that means yesterday is gone. Okay, so today is brand. So it was a scripture about His mercies are new every day. That's what it was. God's mercies are brand new every single day you wake up. It's like you start all over. It's a brand new day.
That's right.
So it doesn't matter what happened yesterday or all the yesterdays behind you, because today is a brand new day. It's like you start all over again. The sun comes up, it's brand new.
Uh-oh.
Every day.
Uh-oh.
Wonderful one for me.
Well,
Uh oh.
Susie, your internet's
Uh oh.
being blinky.
You're breaking up.
Uh oh.
Oh, there you are.
Uh oh. Did you
Oh,
hear what I said?
God.
God's mercies are brand new every day. Did it do
Yes.
it again? Stop it.
Nope, didn't do it again.
Okay. Do you hear me
Yeah.
now?
Yes, we hear you. And we did hear what you
Is it
said,
okay
but
now?
towards,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
God's
So
mercies are brand new every day. So that means yesterday is old news.
that's right. That's right. So I want to tell everybody a little bit about what we're doing so everybody knows. Um, I am going to, this week, I'm going to get with Chad. We're going to go ahead and start doing some more shows a couple days a week. We'll get back on track with Sherry and Susie. Probably, I think I might have Sherry, if she wants to, after she gets things settled down, come on a couple nights a week with me and Chad. He talks about a lot of interesting stuff that. Uh oh. No, I don't need to take a shot right now. I already took one. Go away. Um, hit that reminder bell. um, he talks about a lot of stuff that Sherry's real familiar with and stuff like that too. So I think that'll be kind of fun.
Yeah, that'd
Um,
be fun.
yes, and then Monday through Friday from 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, I have linked up with the Sports Cat Show doing the Daily Gazette. And you can catch it here or on his channel. And we go out to 4 or 5 different radio stations all over the world, and they like me. They've contacted him, and they also want me to do his Thin Blue Line rock station with him, which is a radio station. And as soon as we figure out how to put 2 people on that, I'll be doing that with him. That's a pre-recorded thing, so it's not a crunch time. So we'll be doing all of that. Boy, you want to talk about Brenda took some time off, and I'm jumping in with both feet this time. Here it is. But, hey, what the heck? Sounds like fun. Why not? What do I do all day? Nothing. And I still like to go over there with Abe and help him till he gets things situated. Everybody from over at his channel that comes over here, it's uh, it's real nice to be able to know everybody that comes in from show to show, and it's always a good thing. So we've got lots lined up. Um, Hopefully, I don't do anything dumb this time, like shoot myself in the toe or anything like that. So, uh, y'all be patient with me. I'm trying. I'm trying myself. Let me tell you. Oh boy. And I finally got rid of that sinus infection. Oh, I went in to go see my doctor. He gave me some antibiotics, and at least my face doesn't hurt, and my eyeballs don't feel like they're popping out of my sockets there. It was terrible when I went in to see him. He looked at me and I said, Doc, if you didn't bring a new face with you, get out. He's like, well, I didn't bring a new face, but let's see what we can do to fix yours. I'm like, sledgehammer, maybe? He says,
Oh.
no. And he looked at me and he said, boy, I can tell your sinuses are awful. I'm like, yeah, you think? Well, you kidding? I've had this for over a month. It was terrible. Oh, so that's finally easing up. And then we're going to try to get me on some different allergy medicine because, you know, between my eyes and my nose, my allergies are just, they're flying the coop. I never had this problem. I lived in California, Ohio, Tennessee, Arizona, never had any problems with allergies till I moved here to Texas. Yep. And they said, welcome to Texas. And I said, oh, I'm leaving. That's it. I'm done. I can't do it anymore. But so it is. I like it here. And to be here, if I have to be on different types of allergy medicine, well, then that's what I got to do. I just need to go spend more time out at Susie's because when I'm out of the country there, nothing bothers me. I don't have any sinus problems or anything. What did I tell you, Susie? I'm allergic to the city.
I know it.
That's
I
what it
know.
is.
I'm too. Right.
How's your weather been?
So Brenda and Sherry,
Yes.
I was gonna. Hey, I wanted to say. So, what is y'all's take on what's going on the planet right now?
Um,
I know that's a big thing.
do you really want my opinion?
Well,
She
I
popped
guess
off
not.
and left.
She doesn't want your opinion. That's it. She's out of here.
She's like, nope. I know you have no filter, Brenda.
She's gone.
She gone.
That was perfect timing.
I know, right? Did you like that? That couldn't have been any better.
Yeah, you can't make that up.
Uh, oh my goodness.
It was like poop. She's gone.
I couldn't have timed that any better, even if I just pushed the button and kicked her out. That was good, Susie.
You popped
I
out.
don't know, man. I heard an airplane fly over, and I'm gone. Next thing I know,
Uh oh.
I don't know.
Whoops.
Yeah.
They're
Oh,
scanning,
man.
listening again. Oh my gosh. I turned around and said, do you
Right.
really want my opinion? And whoop, you left. So we figured,
You're
well, I guess
gone.
That's funny.
my opinion of this whole thing is there's a
So,
lot of stupid going on. I mean, I've been
okay.
watching, I keep an eye on, um, of course, I've had nothing better to do. So I've been keeping an eye on the different so called protests and different stuff like that. And I don't know. I guess it's a mothering instinct because if half of these people were my kids, I would go collect them off the street. But before I did, I'd take a paddle and whoop all their butts in front of everybody because they're acting so foolish. What happened to me moving, Rebecca? Well, it's still in the plans. We're just we're waiting. Good things come in good time when they're ready.
Timing.
When
Yeah,
timing is everything. God, where have I heard that before?
it is.
Yeah.
And as
But
for me in the
So what do you
world,
see going on, Sherry?
I haven't been. I've been ignoring it actually. I mean, because it's people are going to be doing what people are going to do, and like I said, I've been dealing with my mom and her health, and so and working on myself. I've been working on myself instead of trying to drag in more drama of the world. I can't change it. I can change
That's true.
me.
Now, I will
And
tell you
so
this,
I took a
Sherry, it is
step.
Right?
good for a laugh because,
Yeah,
like, they got people walking around in these big puppy suits, and when they try to get involved while other people are trying to be arrested, they're spraying the inside of the the suits
oh
with the
no.
mace and stuff, and it's so funny watching them roll around because they can't get out of those suits fast enough.
We
It's
got
like,
we got protests going on this weekend
I
around
haven't
here
seen
too.
that, Brenda. I heard you
yeah,
talking about it. Yeah, yeah,
oh,
But
that's crazy.
people, it's
You got
fine.
protests going on around there, Sherry?
Yeah, this weekend, and I drove by a couple of them like the last time they did them. Most of them are people like in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. Just protesting peacefully at
What are they
corners.
protesting?
No king,
no.
no
The
king
50s,
day.
60s, and 70-year-old people are doing that. Tell them to go home and grab a beer and sit in their chair.
What
Yeah,
is the
What are they
no
well,
doing?
king? What is that? I guess I missed the no king thing. What is that?
it's that's what the
What is the no
protest
king
is
thing?
supposed to be this weekend all over the place. No king. They don't want a king. They want a president, not a king. They don't want to serve, whatever.
Well,
That's
Charles
all I
must be
got.
pretty pissed off about now, but there is no king. I don't. I heard that it's something else. I don't know. They walk around with pro Antifa, pro illegal, um, anti Trump.
Oh,
Okay,
I
it,
haven't
it,
seen that one. I just seen no king.
yeah. I don't
But
know. It's just something I guess to do, and you know, so I was watching a kid that was doing like a live podcast for, some of the things in Portland. And he was walking up to everybody asking them what they were protesting for. Do you know what half of the people he asked? Do you know what they said? Well, I don't know. It's just fun. They're kidnapping people. They shouldn't be kidnapping people. People didn't do anything. They
that's
have no
good.
idea what they're protesting. They don't even know. They just see a group of people out there running around in costumes and they say, oh, that looks like fun. Let's go. And people are feeding them for free, giving them drinks for free. Half of them don't even know why they're there. And it's like, you have got to be joking me, right? You're kidding. I mean, it is the dumbest thing I have ever seen in my life. And nobody can tell me, well, that's not really what's happening. Bull, I'm watching it live while it's going on. You can't tell me that's not what's happening because I'm sitting here watching it. And I laugh at it because and then there, do you remember like way back in the 60s and 70s when they had hippie camps and they were protesting the wars
Yeah,
and the music they would play,
yeah.
kumbaya, and that's what it sounds like. The music they're playing sounds like they are hippies way back in the 60s and 70s. They're just kumbayaing and they don't even know why.
Huh.
I'm dumbfounded. I really am dumbfounded.
That's why I stick to myself.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah. Well,
paying
I
too
just
much
stay in my house.
attention.
I don't go nowhere. I'm just like, I'm done with people outside of my house right now. I can't. I I am so glad that I don't do the work that I did before I lost my leg right now because I wouldn't be able to do it. I would not be able to do it. I give these guys that are out there, whether they're military, ICE, police, whatever they're doing, I give them a lot of credit because I'd have done lost my shit on half of these people right now,
Yep, better them
for
than
real.
us.
So I guess I was taken out of the
So what's
game
going on with
probably in
ICE?
time.
What's going on with the ICE?
Oh
And
my
all that in
goodness.
the cities. Anybody know?
Oh, they got a big child trafficking ring in Houston the other day, a big
That's
one.
good.
Yeah. Um, And people think they're just showing up and getting these people. No, they have seeked them out. They have done background on them. The people that they're getting. Now, if somebody gets mixed up in it and they find out that they didn't have anything to do with any of it, they let them go. They walk right out of the facility. But these are people that are, when they get them, they know who they're getting, and they're criminals. They're people that have got warrants that have were supposed to go in and out of court several times that never showed up. People that are for domestic, they've gotten them on domestic abuse, they've gotten them on some trafficking, they've got them on drug charges. I mean, they're not just plucking people off the street just because they think that they look like they're from another country, so let's take them. That's not what they're doing. But for some reason, people are under the impression that that's what they're doing. I'm sitting here and I'm watching this, and I'm like, you people got to be blind if you think that's what's happening. I mean, it's craziness. It's craziness. And I just sit here and I'm like, whatever. The other night, I think it was Portland, they had everybody dressed up in costumes, and they were on roller skates, and they were roller skating around in the middle of the road, and peace, love, and happiness. And somebody asked them why they were there, and they said, I don't know. They're just a bunch of my friends came down here, and we were all dressed up. And we came down here because somebody said they were serving pizza.
Oh
Well,
my gosh.
well, all right. You go, boy. Hi, Woo.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's
So
just
Houston
crazy.
is probably the biggest import export of drugs, and because they have all the ships, and the Houston coastline
Yep.
and stuff is everything is shipped in and out of Houston, and it runs to Austin, which is the capital, which is a couple hours away, right down the
Yep.
highway. So yeah,
Yeah.
Houston is
They
really, really, really
and
corrupt. Yeah.
when they stumbled upon the trafficking thing in Houston, that was an accident because they were looking at them because they were cartel and there was drugs. And when they got there,
Yeah.
that's where they found all the kids.
Well, they do both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, they do, but at the time they were only looking at them for drugs,
Right.
and then they
Oh,
stumbled upon the kids.
that's good they found the kids.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
53 of them.
Wow.
Yeah,
Good. Because
so
there's a lot of missing kids.
oh yeah, so yeah,
Yeah.
that was good, and there was a couple of them. They caught a big old ring of money laundering, trafficking, and stuff like that in Vegas too.
Good.
Yeah, so apparently they've been, and that one was the TDA, the 10. Let's see if I can say this right. The 10-day Agra gang, the Venezuela gang. They
Oh, wow.
were money laundering and trafficking through some of the casinos in Vegas.
Wow.
So, yeah, yep. This is a bad world we live in right now. People, hang on to your children. Don't leave them with people you don't know. I mean, it's a mess. It really is. And you, as a person, if you see something that looks suspicious, don't 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 be
It
afraid to
probably
call
is.
somebody. Yeah, don't be afraid to call somebody because you could be saving somebody's life. You could be saving some kids' lives. And I mean, if it's nothing, no harm, no foul. But don't try to approach some of these people on your own. Don't do that. Um, because it's getting bad. I know my daughter, every time she tells me she's got to go to the store, I'm like, oh my God, be careful. Call me when you get home. I mean, if she's in another state, what am I going to do? But still, call me when you get home. But it's just so bad. I remember when I was a kid, Susie. God, we used to run around all over the place, and we were left home unattended, and our parents were working. Didn't have babysitter. We stayed home. We hung out with our friends, and it was so bad out there. you had to worry about some kidnappings, but it wasn't like it is now, or maybe it was, and it just wasn't publicized like it is now.
It's
You
more
know?
known now. That's why.
I think it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's been bad, but it's getting worse. Like I think as far as I think it's worse, but I think it was always been bad, but it's just worse. Like
yeah.
there's you just it's more and more of this stuff is happening at a faster rate. Yeah,
So I got to tell you guys.
I just think that yeah.
Woo told me he's been working out, and he's got some pecs now. So if I get kidnapped, somebody call Woo. He'll come rescue me. Just thought I'd throw that in there. I talked to Woo was in the chat today earlier when we were doing the Daily Gazette. And Glenn's like, "Who's that Woo guy? Why was he? Why did he sound like he was flirting with you?" I said, "Mind your business, Glenn. Just mind your business." But yeah, I think that's going to be kind of fun. Susie, you're going to have to one of these days while you're out there working. Look at Woo with his arm. um, while you're out there working, you should turn on the station and just listen to us. We do some news, weather, you know what whose birthday it is on this day. Uh, Back in 1800, we came up with some interesting ones today. I'm trying to get Glenn to cut that down a little bit because we spend a lot of time on that, so we can run out of time real fast. um, but it's kind of fun, and I do his commentary and make fun of things, and it's kind of fun. We
What did
had
Scott
we
just
had fun.
say? Brenda, do you see what Scott just said?
What did he say? Heard I-40 East, West 100, truck driver, psycho kidnapper, wanted by the FBI. Oh, wanted by the FBI, huh? A psycho truck
100?
driver,
Wait,
I-40
100
East.
truck drivers? There's like a
Yeah,
whole bunch of kidnappers on I-40.
yeah. They well,
What?
also, I have friends that are truck drivers.
What are they part of? Okay, are they
Probably
like some
kidnapping.
kind of like
They're
drug
kidnapping.
cartel group or what is it?
Probably some kind of a trafficking group. I enjoyed that stream earlier. Good stuff. Thank you, Will.
Wow.
I think I have a friend who is a truck driver, and he told me that the other day he pulled into a truck stop, and they had a bunch of trucks
Yeah.
pulled over, and every single person
Oh.
they pulled out of those trucks could not speak English, and they were illegal. And one of them, they believed
What?
he was involved in a hit and run where somebody was killed in their car.
Oh man.
Yeah, so and they've been using trucks, honestly. They've been using big trucks for transporting um, traffic people, uh,
Yeah.
women, and kids for a long time. But it's starting to
Yeah.
become something that's out there now. So people are more aware of it, so they know what they're looking for. Like you're at a truck stop, and if you walk by a box car and you hear somebody knocking, there's something going
Yeah.
on, okay? Because there's not supposed to be anything in there but boxes of watermelons or whatever, and watermelons aren't going to get up and knock on the side of the truck. So you know
No. You hear somebody screaming or something. Yeah.
yeah, but yes, keep and you know what, people, don't only keep an eye on your kids, just keep an eye on others.
Oh
If you
yeah.
see kids in a park and there are no parents around, but you see people following them, or the kid, it looks scared,
Or parking
say
lots.
something.
Parking lots like at Walmarts and places like that too. Yeah.
Yes,
Or even in
absolutely.
stores, because sometimes you might find little kids in the toy department with no adult around.
Oh, did I tell you about my trip to Walmart with that little girl that was lost?
No.
Man, I've never been
Yeah.
so mad at mad at employees. So they put out a call. There was a missing little girl. And they gave her a description, what she was wearing, all this stuff. So I go around the corner in the grocery store here in my wheelchair, and I go around the corner into where the eggs and stuff are. Well, here this little girl comes walking out the end of the aisle with a toy in her hand, and she looked just like the description. So I went over and I asked her what her name was, and she told me. And I said, "Are you looking for your mom?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, come with me. I'll take you to her." Okay. So she followed me, and we were talking, and I went past 50 employees in that store doing stocking. Not one of them stopped me to ask me about the little girl.
Oh my
Not one.
gosh.
I
Wow.
took her
That's
to the
crazy.
front of the store. And when we hit the front of the store, there was a man apparently that was with the girl's mother that was looking for her also. And he seen her, and he ran and he got her mom, and her mom came up and got her. And that's what it was. They were shopping, and she had four other kids with her. And the little girl had gone down the toy aisle and was sitting in the toy looking for them. And she lost track of her because she was shopping and had all the other kids. But not one employee, not one. And she walked past three of them down that aisle when she got to me.
Oh
I
my
couldn't
god.
believe it. I could have been anybody. And I walked right out that store with that little girl.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, you can't trust your Walmart employees either, people. I'm sorry. Don't.
No, you gotta train them better.
Yeah, and my daughter used to get so upset with me when she knew that when I would take her to the store, she had one of those little things on her wrist that went to my wrist. Oh, mom, you kept me on a leash for good
Yeah.
reason. People walk off with your kids.
Kept me on a leash.
You blink
Yep.
and they swoop in like an eagle and fly off with your children. I mean, they did
Well,
it back
you know
then. They
what,
sure are
Brenda?
doing it now.
Lucas and the serial killers that tried to get me, he
Yeah,
wrote in his book how they were trained to go to these stores and look for kids that kind of get a little separated from their parents and then kidnap them.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how they got Adam Walsh, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. They're the ones that got Adam Walsh.
Yep. And he was in the toy
yeah.
department.
Yes, he was. So I mean, it is so, and I hate to say it, you know, this is our country, you know. We we love America. We are the freest country that there is. Even though they say we're free, we're not really, but we are freer than most countries. And if you go illegally to another country, you're lucky they send you back and they don't kill you first. They don't deal with people going illegally into their country. When you go to Germany, the minute you land, they hand you a pamphlet. You have to try to speak to these people in their language. Now, a lot of them know English, and that's okay, but they still want you to learn theirs because why should they resort to speaking somebody else's language when you're in their country? But that's not the way it is here.
True.
And this is America. And we invite people to come here, but we want you here legally. We want you to be vetted to make sure that you are not coming in here to round up our children, kidnap them, kill them, feed them to your neighbors. We want to make sure that that's not what you're doing when you come here. If you want to come here and you want to work and you want to be a member of society, hey, we are all for it. I am, you know, but we need to make sure who you are. We have enough problems in this country with the people that are from here. We have vile humans here that we are trying to clean up. But
And some of them aren't human.
yeah,
Just saying.
but we have to make sure that we're not
They look
inviting
human.
in more unsafeness for our children. And people just don't see it. And I don't know how they don't see it. It hurts my heart that they don't see it. But they listen to the news, they listen to the wrong things, and they've got it all turned around. And it's sickening. It is sickening. And it's so sad. Makes me want to go to to the adoption agency and just bring all the kids home, and then next I'll be going to the Humane Society and bringing all the puppies home. So I need a bigger place. I'm gonna need a bigger place.
You need a lot more money too.
Yeah, right.
You
That
need
too.
money.
Got to feed them
Feed them
all.
all. Yeah.
That's
Feed
right.
them and clothe them. Yeah.
That's right. You know, I just don't understand it. But things have just been, and like I said, for the most part, I have been kind of laughing at some of these protests because there are a lot of people out there that don't know why they're there, but they're just out there having a good old time, and they have no idea why.
That's
They don't.
crazy.
It is. It's nuts. But
Well, silly. But hey, they got to do something, I guess. As
well, I
long as they're
guess
not
it's
doing anything bad.
yeah, I guess it's better than them going around and breaking into windows and looting and everything else. They're just down there roller skating and having a good time. And every now and then,
Right.
they hear everybody else yelling, "Shame on you!" So that's what they do. They don't know why. They're just doing it. It's okay. You know, at least they're not out wandering the streets causing too many problems. You know, good
Well, I know
Lord.
a lot with these other groups. They were all getting paid to go out there and do that.
Yeah, that's that Antifa. They make. There was a girl who said that they
Yeah.
pay her $75 a day. They meet them around the corner with a van. That's where they get their signs, their shirts,
Yeah.
and whatever else
It's
they've
crazy.
got. And they pay them $75 a day, just so that you guys know they're paying for that. So yeah, woohoo! But you'd be surprised what regular people that run live podcasts what they find out when they walk around down there with those people. There's one kid. He stays pretty neutral, and he talks to both sides. What are you doing out here today? What do you hope to accomplish? What do you see happening? And people talk, and he's talked to quite a few of them, and they tell him they get paid to be out there. They wouldn't be out there if they weren't getting paid. So I mean, it's amazing, but hey. But anyways, guys, so we know what's coming up with me. We will be uh, coming back online, and Sherry, uh, keep me posted on what's going on with you, and I will get with Chad this weekend,
Yep.
and then I'll just let you know and keep you informed of what we're doing, and then you just let me know how things are going with you, whether you're going to come or not. That's fine.
Sounds good to me.
Yes. Kiki, come and say good night to all the good people. Is she
She,
sleeping again?
yeah, she crawled into bed.
She didn't want to wait this time. She's like, yeah, forget you
Oh,
guys. I'm going to bed.
She's doing
past her bedtime.
Yeah, I tell
after the
you.
after the intermission. She was in the chair before waiting during the intermission. So,
I felt so stupid. The other day
Oh,
I sent Putin to the groomer, right? And I was sitting there rubbing him, and I felt something on him, but he wouldn't let me look at it. Anytime I tried to, it was underneath on one of his little fat rolls underneath his chin, and I was trying to see it, and he turned into like this wild dog. His eyes bulged. Classic Chihuahua. His eyes bulged out of his head. He was showing his teeth and snarling and trying to tear me up. So I'm trying to look, and it looked like a tick. So I
gosh.
yeah.
called the groomer, and I said, "Hey," I said, "I need to bring Putin back because I believe he got a tick while he was there, and it's your tick, so I want you to take it back." so, so she's like,
It's
"Okay,
your
bring him
tick.
down in the
You get to
morning.
keep it.
Your tick, you get to keep it." So she takes him inside, and she comes back out, and she's laughing. And I said, "Uh-oh, what happened?" She said, "It's a mole." I said, "What?" She said, "It's a mole." She goes, "I cleaned it up for you." I said, "Oh God, I'm so."
Oh my.
I gave her a little money for wasting her time, and I'm like,
Dang, Brenda.
I don't know where this thing came from. I touch all over this dog. I have never felt a mole.
It came from your dog.
It was a mole.
That's funny.
After I called her and said, my dog got a tick from your shop and I'm bringing it back. I don't want it. It's your tick. You can have it. Thank God I've been
Oh
going
my
to these
God.
people for a
She's
long
like, I'm
time
sorry, but
because,
I'm gonna have to let you keep that mole. Yeah.
yeah, that's your mole. You must keep it. Hi, Juan. Juan, you came at the end of the show. But yeah, so I did. I felt kind of stupid. I was like, oh my God. And I looked at the dog and I said, Putin, we could have avoided mommy feeling stupid. Had you just sat there and let me look, I would have been able to tell what it was. But oh no, you had to act like you were trying to eat my face.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Oh, I swear this dog is going to give me an aneurysm. I worry so much about him. Hi, Jason. But yeah,
Oh.
I do. I worry about him. The slightest little yelp, I'm like, oh my God, my baby. He's my best friend. He pals around with me. He sleeps with me. He eats with me. I mean, I do nothing without this dog. I don't even get to take a shower without this dog. He is in there. When I turn the water off and I open the shower curtain, he's standing right there looking up at me. Like, did you enjoy your shower, Mom? I protected the bathroom while you were in there.
Jason asked if you were doing a
He's a
new
good buddy.
format.
Jason asked me what?
If you were doing a new format.
Actually, Jason, what I'm doing is I've linked with the Sports Cat Show, and Monday through Friday we do a daily gazette where we do a little bit of news, and we don't get serious on it. We screw around, and you know me, I have no filters, so sometimes I say things. Um, we are broadcasting out on like 4 or 5 different radio shows all over the world, and Australia loves us. Um, but I do that here, and it links to this show Monday through Friday from 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern. So that's what we're doing. And it's kind of fun. I had quite a few people. Bounty was in here. Um, Woo was in here. We had a good time this morning or this afternoon. Jason's like, yeah, that was fun. Yeah, we try to make it fun. And Glenn's been doing it by himself, but he didn't have anybody to banter with. So, of all people, he brings me on because when Glenn first started his podcasting, I started it with him, and that was 3 years ago. And so I give him a hard time, anyways, and I always have. So with me being on there with him, now he's got banter. Um, we make fun of each other. Um, I have no filter, which the radio shows, they love it. So I'm allowed to say things that I would normally keep to myself because, I try to be a lady sometimes. Go figure. But yeah, it's fun. I want one of these days I'm going to get Susie while she's out there working to sit and listen to us. And we do weather, and he brings up this thing with planes. It shows you where all the planes are and what planes are actually doing training and different stuff like that. So it's kind of fun. We have a good time. So, but all right, guys, we are going to get out of here so I can do my downloads and uploads and ship this thing to Rumble. And I'll probably see. And I don't. Yeah, flight radar. That's what we do, Jason. I'm probably gonna wait up and see what time Abe's going to start his show tonight so I can. Last night I was doing a bunch of stuff and running around. I didn't get to join him. I was busy doing things. So, but he had open mic night last night, and I don't think anybody went up there last night. So, Scott Baker dropped the ball. That's what I'm going to say. So, but all right. Woohoo. But all right, guys, we are going to get out of here. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you guys down the line. Watch for notifications. We have a lot going on, starting back up again. And like always, everybody, and I know this is hard to do right now, but please be kind to one another. Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
Night.